Hello, everybody. Long time no see. I missed everybody. Not as much as I currently miss Messi. Hi, Messi. Bye, Messi. There we go. What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Oh, good.
I exist. It's all right. I'm doing well. Things exist. I'm sorry.
Things exist.
Things exist.
We're here.
Listen,
I
wasn't prepped. I wasn't ready.
You have Darkwing Duck behind you. That's what matters, Tyler. There you go.
I know. He's beautiful.
He matches.
When in trouble, you call DW. Okay.
Let's get dangerous.
Oh God, there's that accent back.
He found it.
Yeah.
Thought you lost that.
Yeah, we were concerned. We were concerned you lost the accent.
We were all so worried.
Oh, don't worry. The accent might slightly be gone. I need to remember how to do it, but I was working on it a month ago.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're glad that you put effort into it. This has been a crazy season for all of us. I mean, we haven't played in 6 weeks, something like that. What has it been?
Yeah.
6 weeks, 5 weeks, somewhere in that range. So obviously, coming back after so long I'm not playing, we're going to put our best effort into staying focused so we can actually have a productive, fun session for all of us. But first, let's waste our time talking about stupid shit. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. I think today's also Happy Kwanzaa, or whatever else you choose to celebrate. All of you people. Happy New Year soon, because I won't see you guys before New Year's, I don't think. So.
Well, we'll see you in 2020.
Yeah, we'll see you in
the new year. In the new year.
I mean, you know what? Ophios is in the mood. It's been Christmas season recently.
Ew.
He's gonna give these pauldrons of the serpent to Yondus and be like, "Hey, bygones be bygones. You're still a dick, but you know."
So you didn't want your gloves, huh?
No, it's pauldrons.
They're
your
pauldrons.
You didn't want your pauldrons.
Pauldrons
huh?
are shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So you gave them to me, huh? What
Yep.
did they do?
They give you a bonus to AC on reaction attacks and stuff.
Yeah, just for running away. So anyways, did you guys get anything particularly exciting, any particularly good gifts for Christmas? Anything nice?
I got to fly to Ohio.
That's nice. Well, there you go.
For free?
It was paid for by my dad.
There you go. So,
Oh,
free for you.
Yeah.
That's nice. Anything, Irina? We see a beautiful new chair behind you.
I did get a new chair, and I actually got like a D&D like starter kit, or it's not a starter kit, but it's like one of the adventures or something. I don't know. I haven't looked at it too closely yet because I just opened it the other day. But and then I got the player's handbook too, so I'm pretty excited about that.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you have the physical. I knew you have dice. You bought dice forever ago before even our first session. So
Yeah, and I have more dice. I have so many, and I still haven't even played like a physical game.
She says so many. Oh man, if you saw
addict.
my collection, you'd shit yourself. If you saw Maggie's collection, you'd become a corpse. That's just
true.
That's just how.
I only have like three different like sets, I think. And I'm all like, it's so many.
My daughter has more than 3 sets.
Yeah,
I'll catch up.
3 sets. I have 6.
Yeah.
I have a
dang.
dice somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
Just one.
And I think for
everything
Christmas, I think Messi got dumped, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Sorry,
Wait,
Messi.
I hope that didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, my doctor and I just decided to see other people. So.
Oh,
You kept
so
leaning in too hard?
Your doctor analyzed your poop and was like, "No, this
Yep,
isn't a dump."
You dumped right on me. I still don't understand what that was for. Why the cops showed up.
Was it a good like shiza in your mouth? Yeah.
No, it was just kind of was everywhere. But it was cold out and it was warm, so I guess that's a plus.
Oh, so he was trying to save your life by warming you up in a really shitty way.
Well, he kept screaming profanity words at me, but I didn't. I wasn't really paying attention. So
I really wish I could see chat on this laptop, but I can't.
Well, more or less, they're just saying Tyler is amazing, Messi is gross, and Rena is on fleek. It's lit, fam.
I mean, I believe Rena is in
lingo
fact
from
on
3
fleek.
years ago. Thanks, Boomer.
You're welcome. Let's see. My wife and I just bought the house, so we're wicked po. So we bought paint and paintbrushes. I mean, Santa gave us paint and paintbrushes, and they were exactly the perfect shade that Mommy wanted the living room to be. So hey, thanks, Santa. You have a great eye for. Mommy must have been really
Interior
nice this year.
Design.
Yeah. So it worked out great. She honestly didn't. My daughter, she's like, I got Shopkins, nah. And if you don't know what those are, good for you. And if you
I know what
do,
they are.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, I sell them. So
Yeah.
you know if you want some.
He peddles them on the corner. You want Shopkins? New, fresh, next year's model. Oh God.
God, Josh is asking for questionable things.
What is Josh asking for?
Josh, I'll send
He
you my
added
needs
me.
later, okay?
What did he at you for?
He added you?
Oh, added you and do that chat.
No,
Well,
in the chat.
I mean, should we
Oh, did
ban
he
him?
DM you?
Rena, should we ban him?
Just like
just
ban him
asking
for like 2 seconds.
Just for
That's
like,
harassment.
he's like, hey, do that, Rena. No, bad
No,
Josh.
banned.
To be fair
Instant
though,
ban.
what did you say
Rena's
about
not gonna do it.
Rena? Before we went live, we were playing.
We're not gonna, so anyway, last time on Regicide,
Previously
were,
on Regicide.
last time we were,
Well, I
bopping around.
hope all of you have had a good holiday season so far. One thing I will say is today, so I had yesterday off as I always do on Thursdays. Today, people were miserable at work. So I took a slightly extended break. And literally, this is what I did for my break today. I came home, made dough, baked cookies, and brought them back to work to cheer them up because people were so miserable. I was like, I can't handle this environment. I need to make people happy. So I came home and baked cookies and brought them back and like, be happy.
Be happy.
I'm doing a very long day today. Just be happy.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's funny. Oh, Frank's here. All right, end the stream. All right. Anything else you guys want to say before we kind of get into the campaigning?
I'm naked under my clothes.
Underneath your skin right now lies a skeleton. Happy Halloween.
It's a living, breathing skeleton.
That's weird.
Skeletons can breathe.
Yeah, apparently. All right, moving on. So, the last time we ended this last session we played, which was a considerable.
It was a battle royale
About a year ago.
arena.
Oh wait, not
fight.
yet. Damn.
That was
About a year
really fun.
ago.
Ah, I'm way too early.
We were supposed to do like a community arena fight. This past, but just this month was just like. You know what I mean? That's just how it was for all of us. But anyways, so last session, not the one we were talking about like the new mechanics and so on and so forth, but more like the last session of season 1. You guys finally kind of came to a bit of a head in the town that you had visited, which was by the name of Cursevald. Way up in Cursevald, you came across this group of people that seemed were able to kind of, because of information XYZ, kind of deduce who you were, Tyler. And kind of ask you straight on, and you did, showed it to these people and whatnot, and you thought you were gonna have to kill them. You thought they were bad people, and you're like, oh, these people kind of want to help me. And you were able to discern from all of that not only were they trying to help you, but you were they wanted to work with you, like you guys could work with them and their like network of uncouth peoples to do your task, which is hunt down these particular persons, these lopers, and to end them. Their goals weren't necessarily lopers specifically. Their goals were more of the leadership of Peredhel, but you just happen to have your goals aligned because those are the ones that you're hunting down. So you've spent the past several months kind of amongst their mists, amongst the group of kind of like a rogues guild, or it's more of a rebel alliance, like a resistance to the Peredhel Empire, kind of.
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
Ended poorly. The whole series kind of mediocre, and I hate J.J. Abrams, but we won't detract. My apologies. So it's literally is a rebel group that's trying to fight back against the Peredhel Empire. Because what the Peredhel Empire is, it was a group of people that in theory lived in a small region that's now known as Adir, maybe even smaller than that have been spreading on for forever and just taking off for hundreds of years and taking over more and more regions, including the region that you guys are currently in, taking from the country that you just visited, Taziandale. So you're working with them to make this happen. What you've discovered is that they have this wonderful network of each town in the area may or may not have one or more people that have access to maybe information that you need or goods that you might need, so on and so forth. However, even though they are a rebel group that's working to overthrow the Peredhel, They're not necessarily like, we all work as one unified unit. We're all besties and give each other everything we need at all times, and we trust everybody that has this. They're super secretive and untrustworthy of each other because they don't necessarily know who can be trusted. So usually when you walk into a town, you can kind of pretty easily, because the skills that were given to you, discern who is who. I mean, I believe one of you guys has Thieves' Cant as an ability. You can pretty easily discern who it is that's doing what inside the guild, but you can usually procure items or information from them at a discounted cost, but there's still a cost. There's still business. There's still XYZ. Your time spent together is kind of like learning their infrastructure, learning their how it is they do things, and getting comfortable with it to a degree. But you still very much feel like the outsiders. As a matter of fact, out of the three of you, the only one that isn't usually treated with a hard, cold shoulder is Rena. And the reason for that being, Messi is gone.
He's out.
Still here. I don't know.
It was the last straw.
The reason for that being is because Rena actually is Tasian. So she actually is one of them. And so she kind of has this like easy hand in to get with them a little bit, but it's not even like they're super nice to her. It's just that they don't necessarily treat her with a cold shoulder. But even they kind of give a bit of a questioning treatment to.
Just say it. Just say it. They think she's hot. Just say it.
They may or may not. I mean, you don't know necessarily which individual persons are. Like maybe, for instance, somebody's really into dwarves, and they don't even exist. So,
They're just super into a non-existent
yeah,
creature.
exactly. Hey, listen, I'm into cat people. And they
Hey,
don't
listen,
exist.
there are dragon dildos on the internet.
Have you seen cats?
I say cat people.
Oh.
Wait, hey, there are dragon dildos. They exist on the internet. Some people are into that, so.
And we lost Twitch.
It's the only way I can go.
Now he's banned. Can't stream again.
Hey, we're not showing them. We're just talking about them. It's fine.
Are you allowed to show them? Like, tangent?
No, I don't think
If
so.
you, like,
Well, not inside you.
picked up a big floppy, like that's against the rules?
I think so. I'm not
So if
sure.
you and I did a stream where we were, like, dong fighting each other, we would get in trouble.
It might be. I'd have to ask or look into it, but I haven't specifically
can you ask
thought
for
of doing
me?
that. So.
Ask for a friend. Email Twitch asking for a friend.
Hey,
Noel,
Twitch.
I'm
Someone I
friends
know,
with
not
Mark.
me.
There's very little gross things on the internet I don't know about.
All right, moving on from that conversation. So moving on. You guys are you're learning like their structure, so on and so forth, and everything. But it all kind of brought you down to there was one particular town that we were talking about forever ago that they really wanted to bring you to.
Scottsdale.
No. Obviously, there was Zatishk, which is the city that kind of runs this whole region. And you really want to eventually, make your way over to Zatishk because that's going to be where you find, say, the commander of the region, the assistant commander of the region. And very often you'll actually have other leadership, like higher up leadership, like the actual prince and whatnot. We'll kind of like swing through that area because it's one of the 3 city-states that run this whole third of the province that you're in. But you're currently inside a city by the name of Orcina. So in Orcina, there are, it's actually like a small city. So it's actually a pretty decently sized place. The large town, small city, it's got, about 10,000 people there, maybe a little bit more. As a location, it's actually pretty expansive because it happens to exist right at the base of like some hillocky area in the region where there's a bunch of plains all around it. Excuse me. It's kind of expansive, so it has like a lot of people that live there, but they're spread out a good bit. And even beyond that, there's like some farmland and whatnot that's beyond that in the area. They actually produce a lot of the food that eventually kind of gets transported up into the mountains, and so the people up there that need to have like crops and whatnot that they trade with to do so, because it's located not terribly far from where the mountains are in the region. Why can't I remember the name of this province? I don't know if you realize, but I keep saying region because I cannot remember the name of this province, and it is killing me. It is, help me out here, guys. Tiziandale and Vala? Vala.
Yeah.
Vala.
I was like, I don't have the map up.
Yeah, obviously.
God, it is killing me. So Vala. So it produces a lot of the food that gets transported to like the mountainous region inside Vala. But also it has a lot of traders will come through here as well. So Zatishk is the river is not terribly far from there that you can eventually take down to Zatishk. But this intentionally exists off of the river. So it takes a little bit of time to travel to and from it from Zatishk because the people that run it happen to be favorable to your cause. Literally the leadership of Orcina are part of the rebels that I was discussing. This group, which currently doesn't have a name or a title, they don't want to have a guild's name or anything like that because it's too easy to have it be like, we're all under the umbrella of, I don't know, Messy Corp or something like that. So they don't have any set names or anything. So the leadership here is very much for you, but not all the people here are. As a matter of fact, almost nobody here knows that this exists. But it does act as a bit of a hub. Being central in Vala itself, it does act as a bit of a hub where you have tons of different shops and locations where your characters can go and purchase different wares for good, pretty fair prices, where information kind of passes through relatively easily. As a matter of fact, not only is there a lot of information that passes through here, they actually specifically have a setup where there's pigeons and the like actually sends messages to and from this area to have lots of information readily available. Now, you've spent some time here. Not only did you spend some time in the Curse Vault up north, the travel to and from, around to Ursina and stuff like that, it's been months. So because months have passed, you actually have a small reputation here. So pretty much any one of these shops that I've just described that you walk into, there's no question as to who you are, your loyalties. They know you. So unless like some new shop owner appears like that, they know who you. Messy, you okay? They know who you are, and you don't have to be too concerned about that. Okay? So in the area, you guys are comfortable. You actually have a set apartment that you live in. By apartment, I mean it's like a small little shitty house with like a few bedrooms inside of it that's currently set up for you guys to be living in, and you begin going to and fro from. Your point of contact for like tasks and information and whatnot in the region, in Orcina, happens to be somebody. I don't know if you guys are ready to take notes.
I will be here in a sec.
Okay.
Don't remember when I said I wasn't going to do that?
I'm ready for notes.
Somebody by the name of Lionel.
How do you,
Lionel?
Lionel. Yeah, Lionel. Somebody by the name of Lionel. Now, this particular person happens to be the one that...
Fuck!
Happens to be the one... Hey, it's, we haven't played in weeks. What do you expect? A smooth stream? I mean, we started late. Shut up, Josh. We started late because of technical difficulties coming in. I mean, come on. So, Lost Initiative totally didn't go live. Lionel happens to be the person that if you actually go to the region like where all the pigeons are, where the messages go to and from, they're kind of like the postmaster. They're the person that handles this. Now, this method of sending information to and from is actually not a widespread message used by the Perrin. So it's actually kind of very, very localized to this region. It is not something that's used all throughout Peredhel, which you can imagine. You'd think they'd want something like this for like pretty heavy information with how warlike they are, but they have other means of sharing information. So one of the things that you're going to find out, there is you've been kind of informed of other stuff that's going on. For instance, there's been a push recently with the Iron Hand Monastery that's to the north. This is a monastery of monks that remain, pretty darn neutral. There's been a hard push by the Perrin to try to get them to swear allegiance to the Peredhel so they can utilize their monks and their monks' training on their soldiers, have their soldiers be better trained for combat. You know that over in the city-state of Momley, which is very far to the east and north, there has been some serious issues of trade going on over there. As a matter of fact, even though it's one of the three city-states, one of the three regions of Vala.
What was the name of that one?
Momley, Momly. Momley is actually struggling hard. It's actually like even though it's supposed to be one of the capitals of Vala, it is very much suffering. And the reason why it's suffering is actually partially due to the Peredhel's own decisions from like competing princes, but also because the established people that are there, like kind of like of this group that you're a part of, the rebels, they are having their own foot in it. You don't know how much of an effect they're having, but they are claiming to at least have a foot in it. You also know that down to the south, Zatishk is actually thriving and doing very well since the previous commander was unfortunately killed by you. Since the commander was killed, the assistant commander, she has taken over as being commander and has been a very ruthless and effective leader in the region. She's actually done an incredibly good job of kind of reeling in all problems. As a matter of fact, you hear that the group that you're a part of, these rebels that you're a part of, have been suffering losses left and right. And it's question as to whether or not the fact that they exist as a unified group might even be discovered because of the effectiveness that she's had in the region. You've also heard, and this is the last big thing, that in the nation, if you want to call it that, the growth, to the south of you, called the Deer, has had some serious changes as of late. There's been a growing city-state down there that went to war with another city-state. The resolution happens. You don't really necessarily know all the details about that because it doesn't really affect you. But it seems like down there, if you ever needed a place to run away to, might be a good place to go because at the very least they've amassed a large enough force that if Peredhel wanted to invade there, they'd have a little bit of a struggle. Kind of like a good fallback spot for you. So, just kind of something to keep in mind. All that aside, you've taken a lot of this in. I'm about to narrate the next part for you. Do you have any questions about anything that you would have learned or discovered in the past few months of you guys kind of traveling together? Aside from the bunions on Messy's feet. You learned about those.
The Iron Hand is the monk guild, right?
Correct.
And they had made a huge push where?
So the Iron Hand is the monk guild. Actually, what it is, the Peredhel have been making a political push with them, like an influential push, trying to get them to join the Peredhel. And you don't have the most recent or updated information, but it seems like if they haven't already, very soon that monastery is going to fall into Peredhel influence, and that they're actually going to start helping to train Peredhel soldiers to make them better.
Oh, that's not good.
And you believe the reason... actually, to see if you would know any more information than that, why don't you roll me a... I'm going to give you a choice. Either a history check for things that would have taken place that you may have heard about, a persuasion check for kind of talking information out of somebody, or an investigation check, you kind of going off and figuring things out on your own. One of you can make that check and do it as a group. So advantage.
I have a 3 in persuasion. Do you guys have a better one than any of the other ones?
Let me check, because I think I might now.
Burn the monastery down, says Anna.
Because it's investigation or history.
Oh no, I have 0 in bold.
Yondus?
Investigation 2, history 2, persuasion 5.
You roll persuasion with advantage.
There you go.
All right.
Is anybody else cold?
I am.
I'm sweating.
I'm freezing.
Yeah, I'm so... Whoa!
Nice. That's
First roll of season 2.
All right, I'll
Beautiful.
take it.
Beautiful.
Is that a good sign, or is that like the beginning of the end?
Maybe it's the beginning of the beginning, okay, Messy?
Okay.
Stop trying to ruin
That's
everything.
just what it is.
Yeah. All right, so with that 25 persuasion, you guys are actually able to find out that, and this doesn't directly impact you guys, or at least you don't believe it directly impacts you guys, in a region very far to the east of where you are. This is still in Peredhel, but there is a province called the Daelric that is currently at war with the Daelands, the region that they took their land from, right? They like to mockingly name the regions that they take after the places they take them from. So there's like an active war going on over there, and it's kind of like a to and fro for who's winning, whatever. But the Daelands actually happen to have a pretty solid military force that's trained by monks, by actual like very well trained hand-to-hand combat people. By the name of, with your 25, you learn that they literally called the Iron Fist, is the name of the group of monks that are over there. They have a very unique way of training, way of doing martial arts. You don't necessarily all know those details because you don't understand them. But it's understood that the reason why the Perrin are trying so hard to take over a monastery that happens to be in their actual landscape, that's within their region, is to train their soldiers to be able to counteract them. If they succeed, this wouldn't necessarily impact, though you can imagine it would have a change of the soldiers you have on this front, but it would very much impact the soldiers on that front, making Peredhel successful very far to the east as well. So, I don't know how much you care about that, but that is something that's happening there. Okay, cool. So you know that there's a good influence there. Any other questions you guys would happen in the region? Rena, I know you got something.
I'm just trying to process everything because there's a lot.
Yeah, I had to.
And it's hard without the map.
Oh, I can make the map. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can make the map visible for you guys. Give me 1 second. And I can also make a map visible for chat in a minute, too. I just have to fiddle with something to make that happen. So sorry. Here you guys go. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I will.
Oh, okay. This makes more sense.
Yeah. I just have to fix
Wait,
this.
so Zatishk?
Now I know how to spell some of these things.
Now
Same.
you guys are currently in. No, you're fine. Orcina.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is blue, which means it's a friendly town.
Hey, Wade.
Correct. Is Wade here?
Yeah.
Hi, Wade.
Hey, Wade.
I just saw Wade.
Oh yeah, because he's like down the street from you now.
Well, it's more than down the street, but yeah.
I mean,
see him
considering
right
you live in LA.
It's a lot closer than before. Correct.
So, what's up, Wade? I miss you, buddy.
You guys have a cool thing coming up. So.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know how cool it'll be. All right, there we go. I can make the map visible for you guys now.
You're right. It'll be hot.
Ugh, messy. Okay, boomer.
It's not funny when you say it.
I mean, are you sure? There we go. Fix that. It's been a while since we used these maps, so I had to fiddle with it. All right, so what was your... So, Rena, I was going to answer the question I figured you would be asking. So, about your homeland, which is Talion. So, just to show everybody with where we are, Talion is Rena's homeland, the one I'm talking about right now. Orcina is a blue one, which is where they are right now. It's blue because of... I'm painting it red so you guys can see it behind that viewer thing. So that's where they are right now. It's blue because it's clearly a friendly town. Zatishk is the capital one that they passed through forever ago that's doing extremely well. And way over here, Momley is the one I was saying is struggling hard. The other region I'm talking about is so far over here, it's off the map. It's off the map by several maps. What were you saying, Messi?
I said I have to zoom out to see it.
Yeah, you can't even see the other one.
And I was like, where are you picking?
Oh, gotcha. So, what's your face? Rena, your question would, of course, be about Talion, about your hometown, and how it is that they're doing. You guys actually had a pretty heavily influence there, and what happened with the Adlama, and them kind of pouring down, and the lasting impact on Adlama. Adlama itself is struggling hard. It still exists, but barely so. You imagine if you really wanted to, you can march back that way and bring it to an end, but that might have a backlash for it because of how the new commander of the region has been responding to things. So maybe poking your head out that aggressively would probably just maybe get it chopped off. Talion has been pushing back pretty hard. Whether or not there's any rebuttal for that, you don't know yet. I think that's it. So they're right now trying to be fully under Tasian rule again. They just haven't gotten the official. Cool.
What about Addersfield?
Addersfield. Good question. What is Addersfield?
It's the place that kind of sort of exists because we sent people from Talion to go down there and rebuild it for their own.
And they have rebuilt it to a considerable amount. This is the people that were able to escape. However, Addersfield, with your 25 persuasion that you rolled, Messi, I'll actually give this to you. There's actually a military action happening at Addersfield right now, where Zatish, like I said, she wants to completely control the region. She is bringing soldiers there to more or less burn it to the ground. Not to be funny.
Again?
But, yeah, but more or less like ends the fact that these people choose It's like you were given an opportunity to be citizens of ours. All you had to do was put in a small amount of work, a small amount of effort. And now she's like, you have spit in that, I mean, they were slaves. But she's like, you spit that opportunity in the face. You will now suffer for it. That's kind of like how she's been handling it.
You will die.
So, cool. Any other questions before we move on?
I don't think so.
Perfect. Then let's actually pick up with where things are going. You guys are, like I said, you have a nice, comfortable, we'll call it like an apartment. It's like a small house that has multiple rooms in it that you guys can stay relatively comfortable. I imagine you don't spend every day together sitting around staring each other in the face, playing cards. I imagine you actually go about, may have made other friends in the area, whether it be drinking, training, going off into the woods or the plains, etc., etc. Rena, I would like you to roll me a 2d4.
Okay.
Don't mess
/
this
R
up.
space 2d4.
What? Say it again.
Type / R space 2d4 in chat.
Okay.
She has to know that by now.
Yeah, I
Been a
didn't.
while,
I always
been a
forget
while.
the space. That's my problem.
5. Cool. Rena, choose
4 and a 1.
choose a direction on a compass. Out of the 8 directions on a compass, choose one.
Daelric, can I just say every single one of our rolls has been a crit?
That's nice. Okay, Rena?
It's southwest.
Perfect. So that's the one you don't have. Thank you. So southwest. These, remember how before you have the ability to kind of like travel through areas that you know very well, much quicker. Those green ones are those regions that you know very well. This kind of known area. So the one that
That
you
works
don't
out
is
really
that.
well because
Yeah.
that's the close side where Zatish is.
Nice.
Yep, you avoided there. So that's going to be the region that you actually know very well, and you can kind of expand on that too if you want to spend time doing so. But this is like I imagine your character, and probably like points in time, maybe you and Ophios, points in time you and Yondus, and so on and so forth, would kind of like travel around. Also, just you're a bit of a loner, and so you would do it yourself and kind of learn the region. Tyler, your character, I believe you're a guild member, right?
I have a faction.
Yeah, correct. You're a faction member. So what you were able to pick up as like a talent of yours.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I imagine that was just your jam sesh. So recorded and totally not the generic ringtone. So the hi Kat. Okay, you're on my cord. Thanks. I appreciate the love. So your ability, the one of the things that you picked up is that you know exactly where it is to get, how it is to get people to give you a bit of shelter. You know what I mean? Even people that not necessarily convincing of the
Need this
cause.
thing?
Correct. Not necessarily convinced of the cause. You just kind of like know the region and the people well enough to be able to find places to hide well enough. But let's move on. The person I told you about beforehand,
Lionel.
thank you, Lionel. Lionel. So Lionel actually is going to ask to speak to the two of you, to the three of you, kind of call you in. I imagine everybody goes. I don't know if anybody wanted to sit out on it, but they actually asked to speak to you.
Does he
Good.
speak to Ophios and tell him that, or is it just like he sent word from a bird?
No. You are in Orcina, so they actually, would have sent a letter to you, but by a runner as opposed to a bird. Yeah. It's like interesting news has arrived. I figured you might want to hear it. Why don't the three of you find time to come by for a visit?
I mean, Ophios would go.
Yeah, Bruno would go too.
I imagine Yondus does too. Yeah. So the three of you end up heading over to visit this man. And when you go to his region, which again is literally kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen a place like this before, but it's almost like a silo. So it literally has a almost like a whole bunch of different pigeon coops going up and down a silo that's about 3 stories tall. There is on each every story up, there's like a platform that's there, no railing or anything like that, but like a ledge that you can walk on. And the way you get up and down to it is through a ladder that can almost like you imagine like for instance the library like in Beauty and the Beast where it's like a ladder that can slide
like
with
a
wheels.
rolling library.
Yeah. That's how you can get up and down to it. But again, there's no railings or anything like that in each area. And the ladders only go up like one floor at a time. So there's a whole bunch of different pigeons in there. You don't know how many pigeons exist. You're never so bored that you sat around and counted. But you know that the place is usually about half empty at any point in time. So when you go in, he's by no means the only person that is there. He's just, like I said, kind of like the postmaster. He's the pigeon master. So he always has others that are cleaning out the coops or feeding the birds or, drafting up messages or handing them over to him, so on and so forth. But they have a pretty good system where, in theory, nobody reads or opens them. They get handed to him or his assistant, and they read and kind of pass on or just pass on, depending on the message. So when you go in and you see this man, he is a Perrin. There's, no surprise for what the region's like nowadays. But he's a Perrin that's sympathetic to the cause and is probably about, 85, 90 years old. So he's about middle-aged for a Perrin. So he's starting to have those kind of like, elongated, sharper features. His ears are somewhat elongated and pointed and all of this face somewhat sunken in. All those features that we've discussed so many times beforehand. And, you guys have a friendly relationship with him. So when you walk in, it's kind of one of those. He's feeding a pigeon and it's kind of like, petting it and just, treating it well. When he sees you coming in, he smiles at you and just pets the pigeon a little bit and, lets it fly up to wherever it was. I have a cat that's getting hungry hearing about pigeons. So, and turns to the three of you and says, "Oh, thank you for coming by for a visit. How have the three of you fared lately?"
Lionel's.
Straight to business as always. Well, honestly, you three seem like you were getting very bored lately. He lets that linger as he looks across the three of you. Two of you look incredibly bored. And Yondus is like, I don't know, blackjack's fun. He said, I found a message that, I thought you might be interested in finding out. It seems as though the Iron Hands Monastery has all but agreed to aid the efforts of the Peredhel. Part of the initial agreement is supposed to be a shipments being delivered to them, supplies that they'd like, and, well, a trunk full of coin. We figured it would behoove us to alleviate them of their shipment of goods and their trunk full of coin.
Yes, remove them of the curse of monies.
Well, that coin can go a long way for our efforts, as you can imagine, but also it's more than just that. We don't want to just belay the inevitable by taking their coin, aggravating the commander. She sends enough soldiers to the region to flush out what might be going wrong, and inevitably the Iron Hand is paid anyways, and all we did again is belay them for a few weeks, a couple months, whatever it might be. We want to offend them in the name of Peredhel.
So, you're saying steals it, but lets the wagons arrives.
Yes, not just arrive, but maybe arrive with something else instead. This is the issue. We don't know what would offend the Iron Hand. This is what we do know. The monasteries, they're all very secluded. All the monasteries across Aroth. They're all very secluded, secretive of their arts. They don't generally like to train anybody outside of those who swear to the tenets of their sanctuaries, their monasteries, whatever those might be. And they're secretive because they don't want the other monasteries to know of their tactics, to know what they train doing. They don't want to share that knowledge. They're very competitive with one another. Maybe something pertaining to the other monasteries being sent to them What offends them?
Well, perhaps they would want that information. If they're secretive of their own, perhaps they would like the informations from the others.
Not information, because unfortunately none of us have the secrets of any of the monasteries, and certainly the proximity of those monasteries is nowhere near as close as this particular one. But I don't know, maybe some tradition of theirs or something.
Yondus, you have your nose in books. Any things you knows?
Do a history check, Daelric?
Absolutely, go right ahead. God.
Or would it be religion?
No, history, absolutely. It's not a religion. A beautiful roll, Messi.
That's pretty good.
So one of the things I do want to point out is that in this world, as you guys play Dungeons & Dragons, you know obviously there's a bunch of different classes that you can take, and there are a bunch of different subclasses. Monk happens to have several subclasses. The way that those subclasses are represented in this continent of this world is, you were trained by this school or that school, which is one of the lore reasons why. Okay, cat, go away. You're just too loving. You just keep walking in circles and putting tail in my face. So, one of the reasons why a character can only learn the abilities of one sub-school and not another, why you might be a shadow monk or an open hand monk or whatever it might be, is because you were trained in one of this monastery or that monastery and that monastery. And they're very, very secret of their stuff. They have a heavy competitiveness. Now, some of the competitiveness, depending on who the persons are, but definitely who the monasteries are, is like not so friendly competition where it's like, my guild kick your guild's ass, meet you at noon, and they beat the shit out of each other in the streets. Usually no fatalities, sometimes it happens. Cool, that's a friendly situation. A not so friendly situation is we will fight you to the death. But then like also maybe depending on which guild monastery it is, maybe even like get an uncouth kind of advantage by like poisoning like their food the night beforehand, so they show up with like food poisoning, like kill them. So that's kind of like unfortunately the way the monasteries go. Now your question, that's a backstory for you, Messi. What was your specific question you just asked about this monastery?
So I'm thinking that framing the robbery from another monastery as another monastery is less offensive and more par for the course.
So
like something that they might actually expect. They'd be like, oh, that's just the way they do things now, because they already think negative about them. But maybe if it was someone that they're allied with that left something accidentally, maybe that would be different. So I'm thinking maybe who are their best allies that maybe they might be a little fearful of.
What were you gonna say, Tyler?
I was gonna say something like if we kidnapped a student from another school and had them arrive there. Like they were being spied upon and being assisted by the commander.
The problem is the other schools are so far away.
Yeah.
Because it's
that
like
was the only thing I thought of.
Yeah, they're they're placed very far apart from one another.
And we could frame it, but if they captured someone and asked them anything, it would be pretty obvious that they weren't actually part of the school.
And you don't need to come up with an answer this moment either. Go ahead.
The reason I don't think framing somebody for stealing it is the same thing, because we want it to arrive empty as if on purpose. Because we want to break the ties between the person sending it and the person receiving it. So,
right.
So framing it as being stolen makes it less likely that the person who sent it empty on purpose.
Now, there are other people in this town that you can always speak to, and you can always try to call in favors for to see what kind of advice they can give as part of the favors mechanic that you guys have. So you're welcome to do that if you would like. And we'll get to that in a minute. But you don't have to come up with an answer at this particular moment. But he does kind of, pulling it back down, he kind of says to you, is this something that you think that you would be interested in doing? Grabbing their supplies that were supposed to be taken from them, bringing them to us so that we can use it for our cause, and, well, pissing them off.
Ophios grabs a dagger off his hilt and throws it into the ground and just looks with a smirk at the rest. It's kind of him throwing his vote into the ring of yes. You guys would have learned this over the last month. Sometimes he just doesn't speak and just wants to show action, and that's kind of his way of being like, I'm in.
That's pretty normal for Ophios not giving it a second thought, huh?
Yep.
I think it could make a big difference for us in the long run. So I'm in.
I mean, it's a free shot to stir the pot. I'm not going to turn that down.
There was one more bit of information that I came across as well, but I thought you might be interested to hear this as well. Side notes.
Ophios shoots him a glare, just like waiting. Just basically, he's saying, "Get to the point."
You rolling your eyes?
No, he's glaring at him like angrily, like you're wasting time. Just stop. Just talk.
He says, "Well, I've heard before the story of what had happened in Adlama to the north. That situation that transpired when you were there attacking the commander. And what happened to that man? It's unnerving to think about, but there's a rumor that came from the south. Not in Vala. No, cat, get off that tower. We know what happened last time. Patrons know what happened. Fuck this cat. Literally sat there holding the power button. When I was in the tail end of recording a video. Oh my god. I was like, what the? No! Fucking cat. Oh god. Does somebody want a cat? I literally, all Christmas and Christmas Eve, I just kept asking all the family, and everybody's like, what's wrong with it? I'm like, no! It's like the sweetest, most loving cat that just wants to purr and cuddle. You don't understand.
That's the
Just to purr and cuddle. That's it. I hate cats. Take it. And they're like, no. Anyways, so the apparently during the conquest or raids or fights or whatever you want to describe it that happened down there to the south, one of the armies ran into a strange situation kind of similar to what you described. Not necessarily that they were turned inside out, but turned on each other. The details again are vague because it's rumors, but it seems as though when one army was chasing down another, they were horsemen, riders that went chasing down the other army, and as the riders meant to collide, the riders were turned on themselves, and instead of colliding with those that they were engaged with, they collided with each other, like they had turned around without even knowing that they had turned. And well, if you've never seen what can happen when a lance or a sword at full gallop can do to another, needless to say, it caught them off guard. And anyways, it's a rumor, and it's something I thought you might be interested in.
Would this be something Ophios would know?
Do you remember your prequel? Do you remember your pre-session?
Yeah. I'm trying to... It's so far back.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So on the wagon was like going one way, and all of a sudden, it like full,
Yeah.
it was almost like if you were on like if you had grabbed an image in like an editor and you took the box and you just
flipped. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of like dragged it the other direction, so it was like zoom, or flipped it, right?
Yeah.
It was like that.
So Ophios would kind of look at him and look to the ground and look at the other two and just kind of mutter to himself, knowing exactly what it is, and it would be loud enough that whoever was closest to him would hear. But if one of you two, Rena or Yondus, is far enough away, they wouldn't necessarily hear it.
Oh, there you go.
But he would just say,
What's the DC, Tyler?
No, the DC is whoever rolls higher wins.
Okay.
yeah.
And we know.
So
I'm sorry,
Ophios just, and he also reverts back to his accent. He goes, "Lopers."
The guy you're speaking to probably doesn't necessarily hear it because he keeps there's a bit of a gap between you and him. It's not like you guys are friendly to the point where he's like, come in, buddy, hey. He kind of talks to you from like where he was and where you guys came in. So he doesn't necessarily hear that. Maybe just kind of sees you mutter something. And he says, anyways, with the crazy story that I heard from your experience, I thought I'd
Whereabouts was this?
to the south. As far as I understand, it happened in the region of Adir, but maybe Hardgwen. That's the biggest city down there, the only really noteworthy city down there, and or maybe one of the towns outside of it.
It's incredibly far from us.
Yeah.
And perhaps worth a visit in the future. After, he says poignantly, we handle the monastery.
Especially since it seems like the monastery, that trade route would run straight through the cities. He would say that looking at Yondus and Rena.
Yondus just nods.
He'd look back up at Lionel and say, "Woods that caravans happens to be coming through here."
Which caravan are you referring? My apologies. Not exactly. Not exactly. Strangely enough, the responsibility of this was to be handled by Momley. I suppose a bone to be tossed their way amongst all their failures. They'll be taking the river out of Momley up to the north and west of there, and then heading off of the river.
So like about here.
Correct, and to the west into the monasteries.
So they'd probably take it all the way to this little hill here. And then
You can imagine with how you're
Coming
kind
in
of
from the other side.
describing it, kind of coming like maybe
cool.
hill, and then kind of like down over to here,
Yep.
sort of a thing. You can imagine maybe that's how it goes. If you want to do that, Tyler, not Tyler, Messy, I just did the measuring tool, and I did no snapping, and then just press Q as you go to make it do different ones. Yep, perfect. Just so you can see. So you can do things, you can draw things.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
You made like an airplane.
Right.
That's with an airplane, yes. So, so he says, I hope this information is able to be useful. As for a time scale, because obviously sooner is better than later, from what we understand, the goods should have arrived in Momley by now, as of last message that I heard. And if it's already arrived, they'll be leaving soon. That kind of a trek, you imagine, can take some time. But we haven't had anybody look into it yet for how long that might be. I called to you first, in case you wanted to pull up the maps and do the math.
You have any maps of the regions in which they would be traveling?
He nods, and he actually taps on his desk and says, I have many maps in here, and you're welcome to them. Not to take, but to use, to look about.
Copy, perhaps?
If you know or are a cartographer well enough, you're more than welcome to do so, of course, yeah. These maps are fairly accurate. It's how it is that we control the Pigeon network.
Not proficient with cartography, but I am proficient in nose hairs.
Are you also in your 30s?
I don't know, but you put this on my sheet.
I don't think I did.
Well, someone put nose hairs on my sheet.
If I did, it was so long ago, I forgot. Oh, you know what it is? I think you had a what's your character's name? Yondus. I think the problem is your character's name is Yondus Le Boomer. Oh my god. I think the issue is that you had.
That's the old sheet.
Oh. Where's
That's why we named it like Boomers, because that was the old one.
So I think what it is you actually got a new proficiency because of maybe because when you gained a level in Bard or whatever, give you a new proficiency. It was an instrument, and instead of choosing to choose that instrument, I put nose hairs in there. I was like, well, if you're gonna leave it blank, I'm gonna fill it in.
Okay, all right, I see. All right.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yondus went into Bard? I didn't know this.
Oh, totally didn't happen.
Wait,
I don't know
what?
what you're talking about.
Moving on. So yeah, he says you're more than welcome to
Right.
use these maps, of course, if you'd like.
Would it be possible to see if there's somebody in town that we could use favors with that knows that? remember how to do
course
that. Is
it's
there, like, a
possible.
method
Absolutely,
or
and I'm going to
something?
go over that in 1 second for you if you would like. Absolutely, of course.
Yeah.
And so if you're done with him, it's kind of like one of those bid you good day sort of things. Now, the way that the
Thank you for the information, sir.
Ophios is going to toss him 2 gold after he picks up his dagger and brushes the dirt off of it. And
you toss him 2 gold. He says thanks, and as he takes the 2 gold, he goes, by the way, as a point of payment, obviously the gold needs to come to us for our efforts. He says, kind of like, holding up the gold. But that doesn't mean you can't scoop a few handfuls yourself to make sure that you are paid for your efforts.
Ophios just kind of smirks towards the other 2 and starts heading out.
Yeah, Yondus has a big smile on his face, like, this guy's serious?
Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, no, yeah. Sure.
So you guys currently have what would be 8 favors. You're supposed to have 8 favors for the month. You literally have 1 session all month, so feel free to go ham with them. The way favors work is you have you more or less, when you ask for a favor from the organization, there's a DC set by how difficult the favor is. If it's something small like, can we use a cartographer to copy over maps and we're not being too terribly secretive or anything like that, it's super easy. That's like a DC 5. You roll a D20. If you want to get a modifier on your roll, for every additional favor you want to use from your month's allotment, you get a +2 to that roll. So if you're like, oh, we have 8 favors. You know what? DC 5, let's just make sure that, we don't screw up. Let's spend 2 favors to get a 1D20 +2 against a DC 5. You know what I mean?
Would it be 3 favors? Because you already have the 1.
No,
What would be
one
total?
additional favor gives you +2.
So you need to use 3 favors.
Yeah.
No, you
Total.
would use it. That's 2 favors. The first favor is to roll for it, and the second favor would give you the bonus.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying to take the +4, so that even if you rolled a 1, you'd have 5.
Oh, it's actually, I was supposed to have this written down for you. So 1 additional favor is +2, 2 additional favors is a +5, 3 additional favors is a +10. So you can get
Okay.
it's pretty cool. And that's where it stops. So if you spend 4 favors all at once, you get a +10 to a roll, which gives you the opportunity to do things like a DC 30, which is like insane, crazy favors that most people are going to tell you, like, get angry at you for even asking. That's how you can, chance getting those. And there are other modifiers to these rolls based off of what region you're in, so on and so forth. But generally speaking, like a relationship, like let's say, for instance, I said, oh, Rena, there's people here that get along well enough with you. Well, you might actually get like if you ask versus, oh, Messi's kind of been a jerk with this guy if he asks. You know what I mean? But that's little nuance, and those pluses and minuses will never be greater than 3. So generally it's a 0. And just like magic items, you'll never get greater than a +3, and you'll never get greater than a -3 to those modifiers.
So, are you saying that we have
does
all
charisma
8 this
boost?
month?
Yeah.
Charisma does
Like-
not enhance that, and you have 8 for this
one, yeah.
month, which is literally
Like
this 1 session.
today? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Hey, I'll be
Wow.
right back. Sorry. I gotta do something.
Yeah, you're fine.
And you said cartography, it's a DC 12.
No, I said that was a simple one, like a DC 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as like because and that's the lowest the DC goes is 5. That's like such. You're just saying, hey, can somebody that knows how to draw a map help us out? It's that easy. Because the person that's drawing the map isn't necessarily a person that's a part of the guild. You're more or less asking amongst the guild, hey, help me find somebody and give me like a way to convince them to help me. And you don't even have to
I'd
use
roll
favors to do that. You
1d20
can
for
actually
that.
roll a investigation check and then persuasion checks, and you can avoid the favor thing entirely. That's just an easy way to do it. Understood?
I mean, I want to use the favor to get a cartographer, and I'm just gonna have him copy as many of the maps as we can with very specific ones.
Sure. So,
So it's not like they're just copying the specific maps, which would allude to what we're doing. It's more of copying the maps along the path and around the area as well as up there.
perfect.
Like we're kind of going towards the mountains.
Yeah. You want it to be as many maps of not necessarily everywhere, but specifically a good map of Vala, and then a good map of that region that you're heading to, all the way over to the river system, all the way over to maybe Momley, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So you will have to cover the cost of like the inks and the parchments and stuff like that, but that's not crazy expensive anyways. You guys got kind of rolling in it. Oh, speaking of your coin, they do have here a bit of like a stock, like a place, like you have your home here. They also have I don't want to call it a bank, but they do have like a lot of the assets of this rebel group have a location where they keep their stuff hidden here, you're welcome to put your coin and whatnot there, because you don't necessarily 50 coin weighs a pound, so 500 coin weighs 10 pounds.
Right.
So
and that I was going to ask that as well, because right now my character's encumbered if he's carrying all of this.
I was gonna
Unless I
say.
can convert it to platinum, which I know is extremely rare.
yeah, no, it's extremely rare, like you said. So there's a place here where you can hide like your items, and you can put your coin like kind of where it's saved by them. Or you can put your items in your home, and nobody's really going to rob you. The likelihood of you robbing your home is pretty slim. I'd have to roll pretty low on the Patreon chart. And there's enough patrons over on Patreon that roll will probably never happen for you, so you're good to go.
All right, so we're gonna open the chest and take all of the stuff out of that except for the scrolls, and put that at the bank.
Okay, cool. We'll deal with that later. So,
and then we'll sell it off to the next group for real money. If they want to buy those objects back, we'll just put them in the chest for them.
You just roll your d20, sir.
All right.
I don't know why the green screen effect is not working from Messi's screen. It's like it's never worked this poorly before.
It's so weird. It looks like a weird
I
cloud.
think we got that cartographer.
Yeah, absolutely you did. So with your 17, now here's the cool thing. There's a minimum to make it succeed, and then you can actually get benefits from rolling well above, which is an incentive to actually spend more than one thing at a time. So you tripled the DC of this. So not only did you find yourself a cartographer, but the cartographer actually likes the challenge that you end up kind of come across, and kind of you learn how to ways to speak to the person, and they actually like the challenge, like the fact that they're doing like a favor for their old friend, so on and so forth. So they're actually going to come in and they're going to do a lot of the work for you. They provide like their own like equipment and so on and so forth. They provide their own parchments, the stuff that they like to work on, blah, 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 blah. You just have to cover their ink. So you're only spending like 5 gold, and they're making a bunch of maps for you.
All right, I'm giving him his 5 gold and silver.
So what these maps are going to do is, for the sake of kind of like finding locations, not getting lost, so on and so forth, it's actually going to give you guys an advantage on the survival checks to do so. Between Orcina, as far north as just above the Iron Hand Monastery, and as far east as Momley. So kind of like that region over there, that almost, here, let me see if I can draw a cute little triangle for you. It's going to give you advantage on that. I'm not going to give you the green in that region because Rena has not mastered it herself. Kind of like this area here is going to be kind of covered for you. You're like, yay! Moving on.
And I'm going to go to the... Do we just keep our coin on the character sheet, or should we, like... Are you keeping track of the bank separately?
We could actually make like a separate handout for you guys to keep track of your bank. Here's a good question, and I suppose we probably need Messi's opinion on this too. Do you guys want to have party pool and then individual pool, or just keep track of your own individuals?
I like individual. So like what I was thinking, if we make a character sheet that's the bank, like one of us, our gold goes into copper, our gold goes into whatever. And that's just each of us named, unless you can make them all with gold.
No, I'll just make a handout as opposed to a separate character sheet, right? So I'm gonna make a handout.
Okay.
We'll call it the bank. And this is actually a place where you guys can put like magic items that you have set inside there and whatnot. I'm gonna make it so all of you can edit it and whatnot.
I don't know. Once Messi's back, we could talk. I don't think any of us will like individually spend gold. We can probably just have a party pool.
No
what
problem.
What do you think, Rena?
I don't know about a joint account, y'all.
Yeah, she's like I'm married and don't have a joint account.
Listen. We just played FMK and you made decisions. It sounded like you were ready for a joint account. With at least one of the characters.
Did I come back at a good time or a bad time?
A great time.
Apparently
time.
A good time.
We're talking about whether our characters are going to have a joint bank account or if we're going to keep our gold and stuff separate. But I said with Ophios and stuff, he would probably be cool with everybody sharing. Just because it's like, we'd probably, if we needed something and it was for one person, we'd probably just buy it for that person and etc. You know? What do you think, Yondus? Messi?
Yondus is not in the business of sharing business.
That was.
So you would want individual bank accounts.
I think if you go items as like shared, but then like gold and whatnot as individual, I see that because like you keep your best personal items on you, right, and then you keep everything else like items.
Right.
That's fine. I'll set that
For
up
the
for
most
you.
part. Yeah, that would be awesome because then I can offload this giant sheet in my bio.
Yep.
Where I have all of the things that we aren't wearing. Which the Horn of Fog is basically you blow the horn and it's like creates fog cloud, right?
Yep.
So we might want to take that with us. Rena, do you want that?
Yeah, I could take that.
Okay, so put Horn of Fog on your character sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, Rena has space to spare, so
Yeah, the other question I
apparently
had.
she's got the muscles.
We have
okay.
Death Watch eyes, which give you the ability to look and see auras. What did that mean again? I forgot.
More or less somebody alive, somebody injured, somebody near dead, somebody dying, somebody dead. Almost done setting this up for you guys, so it looks a little bit better. It's funny because I just realized something about you guys that maybe somebody has said in chat before and just never been realized. But give me 1 second. Almost done. And here we go. Apparently, you guys are actually the party Roy. Rena, Ophios, and Yondus. You are Roy.
Yeah. Or Ori, Ore.
No, you're Roy. It's the party of Roy, the Roy Bank.
Where's
All right,
G-Biz?
So
There you go, the Roy Bank.
I thought that too.
All right, cool. So the Roy Bank, you guys can put your stuff inside there, so you're good to go. Dr. Oi, where did the D come from? All right, so there's always Big D. So, anyways, the cartographer is able to do that. One of you guys can spend the 5 gold. I honestly think if you guys wanted to have group funds, it could be one of those things where, maybe every time you guys decide, hey, let's throw some money into the group fund for group-related things. That way you can kind of like use that for paying for shit like what we're doing right here, or you can just do it individual. I don't care either way. Moving on.
I paid the 5 gold with my
cool.
silver.
And so, cool. So you gave them 50 silver. They took the money. They actually drafted these maps. However, this does take some time for them to do. Rena, drop me 2d4, please.
Okay.
So I'm going to do something that's smarter than what
Same roll.
you did.
Rena, it took them 5 days to do this, which is bad news and good news. The good news is you're getting some seriously quality maps, as we've already discussed. The bad news is that's a lot of time to have passed, which luckily gives you guys time to kind of like figure some other stuff out, get yourselves prepared for the hike, so on and so forth. But it also gives you time to take a break right now. So I guess, everybody, we'll see you in a few minutes. Right after this quick little break. Please don't go anywhere. Just hang out, have fun, listen to the beautiful Witcher music, and hopefully you're watching Witcher over on Netflix because we are not sponsored by them. Goodbye.